just pulling up in my groin there. There he is. What's good? How you doing, friend?
Redneck Americans don't really do anything good.
So in the redneck culture, being clean, smelling nice, and looking nice equates to being homosexual.
You know the Pythagorean theorem. These are the things that make me think that I may have a mental disability.
Social ridicule, is it so bad? He's trying to get that fucking action.
And whatever, man. Enjoy your degrees. I don't think they make you smart.
You have all the degrees in the world, but still can't get this dick, ho.
It's like the little black screen where people record. Joop, joop, joop. All right, everyone. Welcome to Left Hooks Are Free, where right hooks are always half off. I don't know what episode we're on. We just keep doing this thing.
14.
14. I am Chris Cano, a.k.a. Papa Clyde. I am joined by my co-host, the entrepreneurial, a.k.a. the Husky Messiah, a.k.a. Snowflake.
Hey. A.K.A. Stephen R. Tidwell, A.K.A. Scotty Drippin, A.K.A. Preston Broadus. How you doing?
I don't feel like you can claim Preston Broadus, seeing as that's an actual person.
Well, considering it came up on a background check as a known alias, I think I can now. I'm pretty sure that's because of Bodie.
I forgot about that. Oh, you got your email? Congratulations.
No, let me check this real quick.
I enrolled you in some classes.
Oh, I gotta learn stuff?
I know you like learning stuff.
You sent it to me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Should be there somewhere.
I ain't get it yet.
It's not in your spam? Nothing?
That's where I'm headed. Spam. Got a Facebook alert.
Oh, interesting.
On a Mule tried to log in as me, you son of a bitch. On a Mule. Might have to give it a minute.
Now, I enrolled. I finally bit the bullet. I've been wanting to for a while. It was buy one get one free at MasterClass. So enjoy yourself for the next year.
Oh, appreciate you. You talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson Masterclass?
Well, he's one of them on there, but there's a whole lot of people on there.
Wait, all Masterclass is like the forum.
Masterclass is the entire 100 plus lessons. There's cooking on there. There's screenwriting. There's learn how to dribble and shoot from Steph Curry. There's Serena Williams. There's all kinds of shit on there.
Oh, appreciate you, sir. Yeah, only one I knew. I know Neil deGrasse Tyson has one.
Yeah, he's on there.
I almost bought that joint too. Because
no, you don't got to for the next year, son.
Hey, shout out to this guy.
Yeah. I've been wanting to do it for a while. I get advertisements for it literally all the time. Mainly Chris Voss, interestingly enough.
Who's Chris Voss? I've heard that name.
He used to be an interrogator. And he comes up to like teach no, he was a hostage negotiator. He comes up to teach negotiation tactics.
Oh, that could get spicy.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna teach how to waterboard somebody the right way?
Yeah, I guess so. No, he talks about like all these like psychological functions like mirroring and stuff like that. I've watched a bunch of samples, but I've never actually watched the whole thing. But I mean, there's like Margaret Atwood. She's the writer of Handmaid's Tale. She talks about how to write. It's got everything, dog.
Bro, you don't realize I'm about to go down the fucking rabbit hole in the weeds and do all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it.
I know you would be.
Don't take my low energy as a sign. I'm just very tired. I haven't had the coffee flowing yet.
No, it's all good. Yeah, you're into the jiu-jitsu instructionals, so I figured you would be into the overall instructionals. If you guys don't know, at one time I turned the Husky boy onto Khan Academy, which I was using as a supplement for my shitty college that I was going to. Because they don't teach you everything in college.
Nah, I don't teach you shit.
So, yeah, I turned him onto that, and this dude used to literally soak in the tub and just learn like micro and macroeconomics for funsies. I'd
sit in that bath like the salt bath sultan that I am. I learned microeconomics, macroeconomics. I even taught myself a little refresher on trigonometry for no fucking reason. Like, why do I need to know trigonometry? What happened was I just was, oh, hello, Poot. Just pulling up in my groin there. There he is. What's good? How you doing, friend? Poot wants to eat breakfast, ladies and gentlemen, but Poot needs to learn to wait and get back on his schedule. But yeah, I was like, I just hit a trig question randomly on Instagram. I was like, to the Khan Academy. And I had to do a fucking 3-week refresher on how to do trigonometry for no fucking purpose whatsoever.
That makes sense. Surprisingly enough, I didn't use trigonometry during my time. I did not.
I never used trig in real life, but I definitely pay taxes every year.
I didn't use. What is happening?
No.
By the way.
Hey, oh, it's young Poot with his. Hey, Pooty. Pooty.
What is he doing?
He's savagely murdering this bone right now. Hold on, I'm gonna escort him out the room. I'm gonna give you a preview though for the audience.
Jesus. Between him and the freaking lawnmowers today, man.
That should make for an interesting visual. I had to flip the camera around on the boy. I don't know. He's stressed out that I didn't give him breakfast because I'm trying to put his little fat ass on a schedule. Intermittent fasting my dog out here. He's down 15 pounds, which I know a lot of you are going to send me shade. Like, that boy don't need to lose 15 pounds. He's big and he's beautiful just like Lizzo. Well, guess what? Lizzo's on a diet too, bitch. So shut your fucking mouth.
That dog needed to lose weight.
Facts. He's morbidly obese.
So, gi versus no gi. Go ahead. What you got for me?
I get the argument, no gi, more practical for fighting, MMA, a physical confrontation. But like you said, you're in the streets, whether it be police officers. He's back on that fucking bone. They've switched. It's Bodie now. Bodie picked up the bone, and now Poot's just licking his ear while he eats it. But you know what? I'm going to power through it. When you're talking about on the streets, talking about teaching these police officers proper jiu-jitsu techniques so they can restrain people without fucking just blatantly murdering them, that's a very, very practical application for gi jiu-jitsu. Because every time you address someone on the streets, more often than not, they'll be wearing articles of clothing. If you know how to manipulate those grips and those points of those clothing, it's easier to subdue someone without actually inflicting harm or damage to them or choking them unconscious. You know what I mean? But no gi has its application in a physical fight, like a confrontation. Like, if you want to mount up and rain down pain and fuck somebody up, that's no gi realm. But you want to like detain, subdue, and like what's the word I'm looking for? Neutralize a situation. I feel like gi technique is going to have a superior place there.
See, I think it all depends on the grips you have available. I mean, that's the main difference, is what you have as far as like positions of control, right? You have different areas where you can gain control over a limb or the body itself. No-gi teaches a lot of like body position, right? It's about like Donner's always talking about wedges and basically cutting off angles. No-gi's, you have to really understand that kind of stuff, because gi jiu-jitsu, you can control somebody, with their sleeves and, the lapel pretty handily, right?
Yeah. Taking lapels from the corner around the back of the neck, locking people up like with one hand. Now you got a whole body locked down with one grip.
Right. So I was thinking about it, and I was like, I think if you had to learn one, I would think that I would still choose no-gi because of the amount of applications that no-gi has. I mean, summertime, when people are wearing T-shirts, you can't necessarily, pull a choke with a T-shirt unless, they're wearing something real thick, like one of those Express T-shirts or something, I don't think the typical Hanes shitty shirt that the shitty sections of society are using is going to line up.
I've definitely tested that theory, and you can choke a man with a Hanes white tee.
I'm not saying you can't. Saying that
it's less practical. Yeah, I'll give you that.
It's not as practical. It's kind of like hockey, right? Like you learn how to fight as a hockey player, and you get really used to the jersey grab and all that. Well, you don't really got that sometimes in a street fight. Like, yeah, you got the chin, which is cool. Those guys are savages. I think hockey has the best sports application for fighting in the streets outside of MMA. But
I wonder if we can get set up like a little small promotion where it's hockey style fighting. So what we do is we sew on, like we get something altered onto the top of your shirt to where you just have to grip that and you can't let go. So everybody's just shoulder on shoulder and you can't just first one to go down.
People would do it if you pay them enough. That's pretty much everything.
If you're interested, hit my inbox, huskymessiahmedia@gmail.com. We'll see what we can get going.
Yeah. But what he said about the sport, the future of the sport, like I didn't like how many people were like getting on trying to talk about the superiority of gi, no gi versus gi, right? Yeah. I was like, that's not what he's saying. He's saying that as a sport.
Yeah, entertainment.
Yeah, like you have to remember, Gordon Ryan is just now about to test the waters of his ability to actually fight. Right, jiu-jitsu is a sport. It gives you a leg up. Like, trust me, Gordon Ryan, Nicky Rod, all those dudes, Andrew, they'll all wreck 90% of you. Not probably about 99% of you in a fight, right? But that's not what we're talking about here, right?
We're talking about
there's people. We're comparing them to people who can fight, right?
Yeah, you can't just assume that because you're great at a very specific martial art. Like, it's a martial art, it's a combat sport, but it's not fighting. You're not fighting.
Well, and even MMA is just the closest thing we have to actual fighting. I mean, nobody has put you, we don't put a camera crew and two dudes in the men's locker room and just have them go at it, first one to drop, or who wins before the cops get there.
Yeah. I mean, you can't knee a downed opponent in the head. You can't kick him in the head. These are all things that most of us have bared witness to in real life. You can't
up-kick unless they're standing.
12-6 elbows. Shout out to John Jones.
Yeah. Biting. Can't bite people's noses off.
What's old boy's name? Straight Jacket?
Yeah.
Weapons, mainly metal.
I almost don't want to plug that just in case like we do get traction. I don't want those videos to ever go down. Like, it concerns me.
Let's not say the channel. I think it's very isolated that anyone's going to be able to put that one together. And if they can, I'm sure they'll keep their mouth shut.
Exactly, because like those are the greatest fight videos on YouTube.
He says, I'm willing to take it as far as he wants to take it. False, sir. That was extremely false.
Dennis was not ready.
Dennis got his face bit.
Yeah, I still can't. I found that on YouTube not too long ago. I was like, this is still here with all of the nonsense, with all of the censorship that we have going on with YouTube. Like, you literally can't talk about guns and you can't use words because they're violent. And I have Straight Jacket out here, the Nazi dude,
metal
out here on this channel, literally hitting another dude with a stick, getting tired of the stick, and then biting the dude in the face.
Making the most egregious growl I did.
It's still there. Actual violence, people. And don't let it go away because it's amazing. It's amazing content.
I mean, violence is part of our society, and I don't know why we're trying to nerf everything.
When in the days of which ESPN warns people before they show MMA chokeholds.
That's so wild to me still.
We need more content of actual savagery that exists on this planet.
You know who would love that channel particularly?
Who?
T. Roy from the Dale. he would get his little fucking rocks off to that shit, and I know it.
You know, where you stand right now in your martial arts, where would you feel comfortable doing that?
Fighting
channel?
straight jacket, or just doing the channel?
Just doing that channel.
It's a yes to both. Yeah. When I see like the quality of how they fight on that channel, I would go in there pretty confident.
Now, are you worried about the Dolphin Man?
He's probably the only one where I would like make sure I have to be on my P's and Q's and keep my shit to, like I'd have to stay focused. Out there with his fucking mittens.
Oh my god, that I wish I could tell you guys about this channel, but I really don't want it to go away. Unless I like get the recordings, I need to either like record
Screen
YouTube
capture
somehow, because it's literally the most amazing like street fight videos on YouTube. Like screw World Star. World Star had a great compilation, you know. I loved it. But nothing beat these fights, I'm telling you. Or they were organized, they were regular dudes.
Like usually I'm like a stickler for quality like fighting and technique, but no, this channel had encapsulated something very special, near and dear to my heart. It was just so raw and real.
And it was from my hometown. So anybody from my hometown, they'll know what I'm talking about. Anybody who was right around graduating with me, Paul Follin, he knows. He's the one who showed me. I'm plugging Paul Follin. Thank you so much for what you did for my life.
Well, I still quote that infamous quote all the time. I said it the other day when I was at LA Fitness about the hoop, and we're in between games, and I told the old dude, I was like, hey, go post up at the block. I'm going to set you a down screen, because he was wetting jumpers. And, like, that worked. So he came to me the next game. He's like, hey, what are you trying to do this game? I said, I'm trying to be straight savage. And he just looked at me like, what? He's like, you trying to be what? I was like, I'm trying to be savage. And he just, like, had this puzzled look. I was like, it's cool, man. It's an inside joke. Don't worry about it.
Came here to fight. Came here to be savage.
Oh, we don't fight with mittens on. That boy got knocked the fuck out quick.
I just love how much energy that dude had running back and forth, yelling. He kicked the dude in the face, and then he immediately started yelling, "I'm a fucking savage," and then ran to the other dude who was getting in a fight and punched him in the face while yelling, "I'm a fucking savage." Returns to the first dude who's trying to get up and kicks him in the face again.
Like a fucking 35-yard field goal. Bow.
It was fantastic. It's fantastic.
And his intro was the greatest shit. Like when they were like cornering him off, like, you ready? He's over there. Like you could just see the other dude's face. Like, what is happening?
Like we all talk about, like they were all talking about Rose Namajunas and how she's sitting there like
I'm the
Paul
best.
Walker.
I'm the
Paul
best.
Walker. I'm gonna win. You're gonna win. I watched that movie the other day. I've been watching all these movies again.
I've never really watched any. I watched the first two, and then I think maybe like the third one, not the Tokyo Drift with fucking Shad or whatever the fuck Bilbao's real name is, but the one after that, and then I never watched any of the rest.
But it does have the boy from SlingBlade as the main character in Tokyo Drift.
He's just boy.
I would have liked if they had Billy Bob Thornton in Tokyo Drift.
I would just liked if they would have plugged maybe that quote somewhere. Like after old boy, you know, he did that nice little gesture or whatever. Just like, boy lives in his heart. It's a mighty big place to be. Mm-hmm. I reckon. You got any fried taters and mustard? Hey, you ought not talk like that. You just a boy. He's a good boy.
You can clip that out if you want.
Boy lives in his heart. It's a mighty big place to be.
Such a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
You have not seen SlingBlade. You are an uncultured piece of shit.
I don't know why, but when you showed it to me, I could not stop laughing for the entirety of that movie, and I know that it was not the intent whatsoever.
Still a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, so I went into work and I decided I was going to take a day of leave because there was 3 people on my shift and we only need 1 person, so I took a few hours of leave. And
Okay.
I watched all 3 Back to the Futures.
Movies I've also never watched in entirety.
All 3 of them. It was fun. I actually I think they're good movies.
You're on a movie
Like,
vibe right now.
They're bad movies, but they're good movies.
I feel
You
like
know what I mean?
Like timepieces, like I'm sure they're great in their time, but now they're like they still carry, but not necessarily because they're quality.
It's funny because they're all essentially the same movie, but they're not. It's
They
kind of
just
like Men
changed
in
the
Black.
theme.
Men in Black is always the same shit, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Or Star
basically like
Wars.
how they do it, right? Because they have to go back in time in order to fix the future, and there's always like really difficult to get back to the future because something
Always.
stupid happens.
They always got that big dumb dude in there, no matter
The
what.
first one, he essentially tries to fuck his mom, which is stupid.
What?
No, I mean that's kind of like a running joke, but like he goes back in time and basically his mom meets him.
Oh, she
and,
trying
like-
to give up the buns.
Yeah, she's like laying in her bed or whatever, like at the start. I can't remember even how it goes. I watched so much Back to the Future that I can't really remember how it went.
Oh,
But
okay.
she thinks
Sorry.
his name is Calvin Klein because his underwear says Calvin Klein.
Oh, she thinks he's got his name on his undies.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It is funny because he's always like picking a different name every time he goes back. Marty, not Morty, picks a different name. So in the last one, they go to the Old West, and he's like, they're like, "What's your name?" And he's like, Eastwood, Clint Eastwood.
Oh, because he's in the. That's fucked up.
And it's funny because they start calling him a coward. Like they start calling him. They're like, Clint Eastwood will go down as being the biggest coward.
Dang.
And then he straight pulls a Clint Eastwood, and like the dude, he gets in a like the gunfight, and he's got the steel plate on his chest.
Oh shit, he's like ripping the whole movie.
Yeah, it's funny. That's why I think they're good, is because they're pretty good at tying in a lot of stuff together. Kind of like Forrest Gump was really good at tying events into
Yeah.
one movie. I think Forrest Gump is one of the most brilliant movies ever made, to be honest.
I mean, it is all right.
I know. I'm like, you know how people are about Pulp Fiction? I'm like that with Forrest Gump.
Okay, I love
Makes
Pulp
sense?
Fiction. Yeah,
I fucking hate Pulp Fiction.
such
I
a
think
great
Pulp
movie.
Fiction is mostly garbage. It's great the way it's pieced together. However, the movie sucks.
Oh man, no, I would
Not
put-
as
do you
good
like-
as Snatch. Snatch did it
Oh,
better.
Snatch is a fucking. That's like top 5 movies ever for me. That's. Hey, if I can look dogs. Oh, you a boxer? Oh, you a big son of a bitch. You look like a fucking boxer. Look at the size of him.
How big are you? Hey kids, how big is he? I love when he does that.
You
Like,
a big
why,
fucker, ain't you?
why was that necessary?
Who you need protection from? The Germans?
Such a good movie. Shout out to that movie. If you have not, I can talk about movies all day. I'm on a movie kick right now.
I know.
Love movies.
I know Jerbear's out there somewhere in the Twitter sphere, pissed off because he knows I watch no movies, and he's always upset. He's like, you know, this movie. I was like, I never seen that. He's like, how have you not fucking seen that?
It's kind of true, man. Like, you're not really big on watching movies until like we sit down and we actually watch a movie. Like,
Yeah,
you're
I mean-
kind of like me. You'll run like the same ones over and over again, but every once in a while, I just get like, you know what? Like Blade Runner. I said, fuck it. I'm going to watch Blade Runner. This new Blade Runner has good reviews. I'm going to watch that shit. And I was like, holy shit. That new Blade Runner was good, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all. And then I watched the old one. I was like, holy shit. Why haven't I watched this movie? Like,
I
That's
didn't
really
know
how I
this was a
felt.
New one.
yeah, and it's good. I think it's got Ryan Gosling.
You.
Maybe no. Who the fuck is that dude? I don't know. I don't know actors. I'm not one of those movie buffs that like knows all the actors' names.
I did like Ryan
actresses.
Gosling in A Place Beyond the Pines, only because he's degenerate with a bunch of fucked up tattoos.
You know a movie I can't watch?
What's that?
Gilbert Grape.
I've never seen that one either. Oh, there's a dog fight happening in here. It's Thursday. The sweeper has made it to the door, and Bodhi's trying to eat Poot's eyes, just like the fucking hollows on Miss Peregrine's fucking island.
I like those movies. I like that movie as well. I want to read the books, but I would rather watch the movies. If they made more movies, I'd rather just watch the movies and then read the wiki.
I would like to read the books, but there's so many other things that I prioritize above that.
I mean, I think it takes more effort to do what I do than to just read the books at this point.
Watch the movies and then go through the wikis. Like, yeah, you might as well just read the fucking book.
Like, people are like, oh, you don't read? I'm like, yeah, but I literally, like, read the wiki page.
You'll read about it, but you just won't read it.
Like a freaking magazine. Like an owner's manual, bro. Like, I literally sit there and just sift through the wiki page. Like, I haven't read... How much do I know about Lord of the Rings, considering I've never read the book?
You know more about Lord of the Rings than people that have read the book.
That's all I'm saying.
And it's like, I don't know why you just didn't read the fucking book.
Because it's hard to sit there through freaking Tolkien's nonsense.
I like his, like, he's very, like, whimsical with the way he writes. Like, it'll trail off and, like, he'll give you the whole page on how to sing the song that they're singing. I like that shit.
It drives me nuts, man. It's like reading the Bible for me.
See, I like reading the Bible, too.
Oh, so the other night at darts, one of the ladies there, she kind of jokes around with me a lot. Surprise.
Surprise.
She said something like, you can't let your darts control you or something. And I said something stupid like that, just as a joke. And I said, well, I was created in the image and likeness of God, and therefore I've been placed above my darts. And she, like, didn't hear me right, and she goes, what did you say? I said, Jesus Christ, read the Bible. And apparently she's, like, super Christian.
She probably didn't enjoy that whatsoever.
She was like, you're talking to the wrong one. I was like, read the Bible. And everyone's laughing because they know her.
If you want me to throw darts, well, then you need to read the Bible, lady.
Oh, it's funny, though.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Tell me about what happened last week. Anything cool happened? Any fun stuff? Anything interesting?
Not really. To be honest, it's just I've been working. I got the new clutch coming in. Well, the new clutch and flywheel came in for the car. I got that access port for the tuning, which I'm not doing because I want my car to last a long time. It's nice to have. I might do it eventually, but for like intercooler stuff and all that. But
yeah,
I'm not really a big fan of just like changing the tune to make it have more power. Like, I feel like that's not necessarily a good idea.
I'm not a car guy, so I don't know.
But that's happening. MasterClass subscription. Bought new darts, which I fucked up.
Already? Did you just buy those?
No, I didn't. I don't have them yet because I put down the wrong zip code with the right address, and they called me and they're like, hey, we've been having a lot of fraud lately on zip code. I was like, well, I'll send you like a bill to prove that I live here. Like, what do you need from me? So hopefully they send them out today. Like, I'm pretty annoyed that like they have my money. Send me my shit.
That's interesting to me because if you're worried about fraud, if you call me and verify like my payment, I feel like that should be enough. Now mail it to me. You know what I mean? Mail it to where the fuck I want, bro.
Yeah. But this is why I'm going to watch some Chris Voss and learn about negotiation tactics, because he talks about like getting upgraded in hotel rooms and on flights and basically like doing all that kind of stuff with his negotiation tactics. He was actually, I watched one of his clips. He was talking about how his son and him when they're on the road.
Yeah.
They have a competition to see who can get upgraded to the nicest room at the hotels. They like get basic hotel rooms, and then they like compete with each other to see who can get the nicest upgrade. And apparently his son
like
beats
that.
him all the time.
Interesting. Well, I'm gonna write that one. I'm gonna check that one out too.
Yeah.
Mr. Christopher Voss, ladies and gentlemen.
It's funny because he talks about like smiling, and then he has like a really disingenuous smile. Like you smile at me like that with shark teeth, I'm not gonna comply, dude. But he was an actual hostage negotiator, but I feel like he, the Jedi mind tricks only work against dumb people. These are not the droids you're looking for. They will be sufficient. What was the what did he say? The credits? Republic credits? Whatever.
Yeah. Oh, talking about
only money.
He says those Jedi mind tricks don't work on us. We only care about money. So shout out to y'all.
Episode 1, in my opinion, outside of Jar Jar Binks, is the #1 movie. Like, I love A New Hope, and I love I really like Return of the Jedi a lot. I like Return of the Jedi because like it buttons it up, and then y'all fucked it up by making 3 more movies. Yeah, it buttoned it up. Luke Skywalker did his thing. He didn't even show Luke Skywalker like with a new lightsaber, creating more Jedi. Didn't do any of that. He just finally brought balance to the Force, which he really didn't bring balance. He kind of just...
He tipped it to the light. I mean, he didn't really balance it.
I guess so. But that being said, it buttoned up.
Yeah, it was a good little ending. Like, it filled the plot really well. And, like, if you wanted to make 3 more movies, you just should have done something a little more clean.
But episode 1 is fantastic because you get all of what you needed to know about Darth Vader.
Yeah, like, people, I think, sleep on that origin story. Because they get too caught up in Jar Jar and, like, the little playful things for the kids. But, like, let's be honest. If you're trying to have a family movie where you can take the kids and the parents can be happy, you can't have a fucking 2.5-hour movie about trade disputes and fucking trade route issues and, like, think that them kids are going to sit there and watch it without, like, throwing some childish shit in there like a Jar Jar Binks.
Did you watch Dunkirk?
Uh-uh.
Okay, I might have to have you watch Dunkirk as well. So Dunkirk, instead of like having like banter back and forth, right? Like the typical movie has like characters interacting with each other.
Yeah.
Dunkirk was straight up like situational. Like it
so?
puts you in Dunkirk. Like kind of like how Saving Private Ryan like puts you on the boat at the start.
Yeah.
But it was like that like the whole movie. It was like just people getting like bombed and driving ships across the channel and doing all that kind of crap, and it was just like very visually correct. Gotcha. I was thinking, I wish they would have done that with Star Wars, like an actual, like, let's not have character conflict with each other. Let's talk about like I don't know, maybe like the Clone Wars type of thing. Just like put you in a major battle for the Clone Wars. And then like just have it be chaos and like terrifying. Like acoustically terrifying.
Yeah, like,
visually terrifying.
Making it so romantic, make it like more realistic. Like, oh shit, like people are getting like slaughtered out here.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to think of like a battle that would be good for. Like you're more of a Star Wars nerd for me, but like an actual like Star Wars battle.
There's a lot to pick from, because like when you look at like the writing room take on Star Wars, like there's a lot of places with like genocide, slaughters, epic battles. Like you could really make like an R-rated Star Wars would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Would that not be insane? Like you're literally like showing troops with their blasters, the rebel scum, and then you just got like an AT-AT just boom,
or just and like you could show like let's get hyper realistic. Some carnage, some stormtrooper arms and parts just fucking all over the place.
Yeah, because like that's how you do a movie about trade disputes and stuff like that. You make it like terrible. You make it like scary almost to watch.
Like putting Jar Jar Binks into that is like sprinkling Mrs. Dash on there. Like fuck that. I want something with some stank to it.
I'm not super mad at Jar Jar Binks anymore. Like for a while there, I was like he's annoying, but he makes me laugh more, and I actually quote him now.
I mean, like, I liked the theory that Jar Jar Binks was a fucking Sith. That was my favorite, like, little sidebar Star Wars theory.
Well, they put him in there, and then they made him fuck everything up, so it kind of made it, like, you had the ability to say it.
And he was always in the right place at the right time for no damn reason. And he always kind of, like, had his little fucking big old finger in something.
Yeah. In my head, I don't say it aloud, but in my head, I say, but Mizuno have a Boomba. So often, and I don't know why. Like, it never really comes up. It just, like, sometimes, like, I'll just, like, it'll be like, like, I should say that, and then nobody would understand it, so I don't say it.
I wish you'd say that at work when you're briefing pilots.
Yeah,
I just don't have a Boomba.
I don't know why. That one... these are the things that make me think that I may have a mental disability, that I, like, get stuck. I get stuck on certain phrases from movies. I'm like, yeah, it's in there.
I feel you. Random segue.
Go ahead.
Hit my mind. Have you been sparring?
I didn't spar. I was exhausted Tuesday.
I feel you. Okay.
Because I sat in... This whole, like, being in bad spots thing is rough.
Yeah.
Like... Side control is like my worst because so my gym is of course taught by a guy who is big, right? So all of the people that are big have all learned how to be big.
How to use their weight, how to use that pressure.
All apply intense top pressure. And like, sure, Donaher's out there like, you don't need it, it's not about pressure, it's about wedges. And I'm like, dog, you put somebody on you. You put somebody, almost twice your size on your chest. It's real hard to do your little turn underneath the chest bullshit that you're doing.
Yeah, it gets a little more difficult.
Yeah.
And then he acts like, and the thing is too is like the bigger they are, the more effort it takes, the more tired you get, and then it's harder to do it again and again.
The good news is that I'm waiting to like do this with people that are more my size, right? Because pretty much anyone over about 185, I struggle to do these things against.
But that makes sense because that's quite the weight differential.
Yeah, but I'm like waiting for someone to be like 160, and then
it's gonna feel like nothing to do it to them.
Yeah, that's because that's the problem with Gaha. Is that they're also teaching a lot of like top pressure for guys that are my size. And it's like top pressure doesn't play as well. Like my top pressure has to like actually be technically sound, not just like applying weight. I actually have to like wedge myself under, right? Because we do side control drills a lot with like the legs extended and like people really sinking on the chest, as opposed to putting knees in as wedges and like getting underneath the head and doing all like the little Donaher games.
Well,
so
I think your coach or instructor, he comes from like a wrestling background too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense. I've noticed like wrestlers seem to like to extend and drive through like the balls of their feet, as opposed to like I was taught to one knee on hip and one foot extended. You know what I mean? I was always taught to keep one at one.
Right. Yeah, so it'll be it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting the day that I do that. But no, I didn't spar. I was tired, and I didn't bring my mouthpiece. So
don't spar.
I already had my
mouthpiece.
I already had my lip popped open from the jiu-jitsu side of it, and Kyle was like, "You want to do an MMA round?" I was like, "No thanks. I already got my lips are already bleeding, so no thank you." He was wearing headgear. Because his ears.
Yeah.
His ears are starting to fill up. And he's dead set on not wanting them to fill up.
He's trying to avoid it.
And like
possible.
I literally like was messing, like cleaning my ear out this morning, and the cartilage was literally clicking. Like it sounded like one of those dog toys where, and I was like, whatever.
It's gonna happen.
Like, it doesn't bother me though.
Yeah, just take it. Just in my mind, like, wear that like a badge of honor when you're walking through society. People are gonna be like, "Oh, that guy probably gonna fuck me up."
So I'm not really like, it's just not worth caring about. Everything I've read says like you may be prone to ear infections a little bit more because you get less drainage. I don't feel like I get good drainage anyway, so
What's the matter then?
The only thing that would suck is I can't use AirPods anymore. Like,
that would.
Eventually, the AirPod game goes away if it closes up that big circle fucking thing. I don't know ear anatomy.
Oh fuck no, I barely read. I got an update for you though. Saturday morning, got a scheduled training session. T. Roy from the Dale.
Now he's back. I canceled my training camp.
And he's back. He's back on it. He resurrected it last night. He says, when we're doing a press conference, I was like, oh, we're still doing this?
After sparring with Kyle, I realized that like my hands are not like up to that level, but I'm also not particularly worried about like getting hit anymore. Like that was the thing is like I got hit and I was like, I'm not worried about getting hit anymore.
Yeah.
Like, because I always worried like when the chin, like when I'm gonna get like Eddie Alvarez.
Like when's the chin gonna give on me?
And it's just gonna go boop, and I'm just not gonna have it anymore. So my chin's actually pretty good.
I mean, well, it should be too. Well, not saying like anything wrong about that, but you know, you've never been like, you're not out here getting Mike Perry every time you fight, getting beat on and blasted on. So you know what I mean. But doesn't have any miles on it.
I'm a teeth grinder, like TMJ status. So like it worries me, because like I've definitely felt my jaw slip, but with a mouthpiece on, when I grip on my teeth.
Yeah, as long as you can bite down that mouthpiece. See, that's where, you know what I mean? That's where you start getting tired, opening that mouth. Gotta watch out.
Well, I noticed that I'm still good at keeping my chin in. Like the punch comes in, like I'll stand straight up sometimes and be like, oh shit, like I gotta back out of this, and then like I'll see it coming, I'm like, like,
see,
get it out of there.
That's one of the best habits, in my opinion, to have. Like if you're gonna have like just one tendency, the ability to not put your chin up in these moments is like so vital.
I don't do this ever.
That's how people get. That's how you get slept, is those dudes that like want to rear back with their head. Like when they're backing up, you'll see them because it's like you're rolling the fucking dice every time you do that.
Yeah.
But he's still on it. He's trying to get that fucking action.
And whatever, man.
I'm gonna put the shin guards on him tomorrow because I got him to agree to an MMA bout instead of a boxing match. He's starting to feel himself a little bit. Because I was like, how do you feel? I proposed to him the kickboxing instead of the straight boxing. He said he was cool with it. And then he said something about, I don't know what he said, but I was like, oh, you trying to do full MMA? He's like, well, yeah, I wrestled. I was like, oh, all right.
So I'm not worried at all.
Yeah, now you can do what you want with him.
Because I'm literally sparring with Kyle.
Yeah. We'll see, you know.
Who's actually training for a fight. Like, a dude, a purple belt that throws hook kicks, like, and kicks me in the fucking chest. All right? Like, I left that one day after getting kicked in the chest about 5 times. So I was a little sore, man. So,
yeah, as you should be.
It's okay. Jonathan. Like, I'm not particularly worried, but at the same time, like, it's my cardio that worries me. So that's what I'm still training with.
Yeah, I think T. Roy's got an advantage with youth. He just has like that 17-year-old fucking cardio on his side.
Also, I don't think he's ever like felt one.
I stuck him a couple times. We did a light sparring. He was getting a little bold in the side of the dome piece. He can say what. Not hard. I probably gave him like a 30%er, but the one time he came in and I didn't I didn't think he was going to come in, so I was just throwing jabs at him to make him move, and I fucking plopped him right in the mouth with like about a stiff 40% jab, and his facial expression said he felt that one. Because he's like, I was like, my bad.
Because you've actually like made me stagger. Like,
yeah, my fault.
No, I mean, I walked into it. That's the funny thing now is like I have space in there. So like
you know how to move around now, and you can actually do it.
I'll circle into the power, but knowing that it's there.
And yeah.
Like knowing that I have room to go backwards. Like I'm conscious of my ability to go backwards when the power's there. So like it doesn't scare me to circle towards the power. I'm like, oh, I got room behind me.
He's got to be aware that it could come.
Yeah, I'm like, it's there. He should be looking for it. He actually should throw it. And like that presents an advantage in itself that I'm like, he's going to want to throw that. Like, So I just, like I said, I'm basically sparring with someone like you in a lot of ways. But I would say has a superior advantage on the ground. Like, as far as his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu. So I get taken down and then like savagely beat, essentially. Like he basically taps me in the face while I try to like guard my head for a while and then lets me up.
I'm 100% sure that T-Roy ain't going to be doing none of that.
No, but I will.
I know, but that's what I'm saying for you though. Oh, and I basically told him that I was like, I'm not going to teach you much about jiu-jitsu other than one, how to avoid getting taken down, and then how to get up if you can.
We shouldn't do this.
Why not?
It should just like I'm down to spar him, but like
it's just an active spar. It's not like an actual fighter about. It's just
that's not the way he's gonna treat it.
No, he's like he'll talk shit, but he's more put together than that. He ain't gonna come in there and try to fight. He's actually pretty good about understanding like what sparring is as opposed to fighting.
But as long as you make that clear, because like I will fucking 12-6 his ass. Like I promise you that. Like I am fully willing to have like a friendly and just like get some work in and just like see where each other are at. Like, cause you can spar and like know where each other are at.
Yeah. Like, and he's like, fine. He gets that. He understands like sparring etiquette. Like he's going to give you like full effort, but he's not going to be in there like throwing his dick beaters around like he just drank 3 Busch lattes and he's trying to fucking clean your clock.
Because your boy will fucking put the hooks in him and then shoulder fucking check his face. Like I'm down to do all of it. All right.
I don't think he's trying to go to that level.
That's all I'm saying. Like you say, MMA bout. Like MMA is a fucking savage place that like gets people cut up and bloodied, and I don't really want to fucking do that. Like
no, we're not trying to do that.
All right.
I don't even think he's trying to throw elbows or anything. He's just put the shin guards and the gloves on.
Okay. That's fine with me. Then he gets smashed.
Elbows I don't think are needed in these scenarios.
I won't do it. Like I said, I won't do it unless I'm in panic mode.
I think he just likes it. He's kind of like me.
That's what I don't want him to not like it.
No, I don't think you got to worry about that though. It's fair to worry about that, but I think we've talked about it.
I essentially only worry because he's a kid. You know what I mean? Like kids are dumb. Like he can be the like most refined, smartest kid in the world, but at the same time, like you're really putting him in a full chimp situation, and then like expecting him to have a frontal cortex that's working. Yeah, like you've literally turned his chip on. Like,
I know, but I've sparred with him, and he gets it. He you know what I mean, tried to sneak me or clean my clock or nothing like that.
Yeah.
He seems put together, but we're gonna see how he does with kicks because a leg kick tapped him just for funsies the one day, and he acted like it wasn't shit, but I seen his eyes light up. That was with no shin guards though, too.
All right, so you got any rabbit hole things to go down today?
Oh, I did. I have a couple. Let's see. First one. Take a moment to reflect if need be. I was watching Yuri Prozac fight fucking Dominic Reyes the other night, right? And he read the Book of 5 Rings that Joe Rogan's always guzzling on.
I read that one.
And he like pretty much embodied the Bushido code, you know what I mean? Like hairstyle, lifestyle, everything. Like he lives, breathes, and embodies that. And I was like, is there any type of code that you carry yourself through with life?
I tried to make my own. I've actually like somewhat wrote it down a little bit, like my foundational beliefs. And what did I put in there? Let me see here. I got it somewhere. Hold on.
I got Poot Dog right here. What's up, Pootie? Get down, Pootie. Nah, Poot, we ain't doing that. Where's your toy, Poot? Where's your ball? Why don't you show the listeners your ball? Show YouTube your ball, Poot. Where it be? Where it at, though? Oh, you got it.
So for those of you who don't know, I use this book. This is my green book, right? I write things to my future children so that one day they understand why I was such a fucking asshole and so damn demanding.
That is a dope idea, though, for real.
Yeah. I thought so. See here. I always write something at the end, like a little statement. So, focus, fellowship, and fulfillment. I put that down as, those are like my main like core values, almost like what the Air Force does.
Yeah.
Because I have told myself that basically, if I focus on what I'm doing, right, I actually have some discipline towards it, and then I basically do it for the purpose of maintaining relationships and being happy, that like pretty much nothing can hold me down. And that's why I like, if I was going to live by like a code, right, it would be those things, right? It's not really a code like rule 1. Like I don't really have that because it's too difficult to really go about it in that way. I think life is like, it'll get you in trouble. Almost like the 12 rules of life kind of didn't work for Jordan Peterson in a way. Yeah. Like in a way. Even when like the darkness fell upon him, it's still like
he fell upon him. Got consumed by the darkness.
Right. So in my head, I really look at it from the perspective of that you have to have a very like open belief system that keeps you on track. Because like, let's be honest here, if something terrible happens and like, you know, you have a code that says, you know, I will not, you know, harm another human being or whatever, like something like that. And then your friend or your wife or something, you know, something terrible happens to them. And then what? Then what are you going to do?
Yeah, you can just gonna stand idly by.
And the Bible's good about stuff like that. And I actually, like, he talks about, what is it, the Bushido? Is that what it was?
Bushido, yeah.
The one I was really interested in of the Japanese culture was the Shokin lifestyle. Familiar. So if you've ever watched Hero something, Love Sushi, maybe something about sushi, right? It's about this guy, the world-renowned best sushi chef on the planet, right? This guy lives a life of shokunin, right? Ooh. And shokunin means artisan in Japanese. And basically, what he does is every single day he does the exact same thing. And he has everything planned out and everything down to a routine. He gets on, he waits for the train to go to work at the same spot every single day at the same time. Gets on the same train, right? Does everything, literally everything. Like his son has an exact replica of his sushi restaurant. But his son is left-handed, so it's everything, including the seating arrangement, is mirrored. Everything.
That's a little
because
wild.
His son is left-handed.
He just flipped it off.
That's how, like, to the T. They are. And I in my head I was interested in that, but I know that like I don't live in a culture and I don't have like a wife. I don't have a lifestyle that is conducive for that. Like I have a work schedule that is completely the same, which is cool. So I could probably like live that life.
Yeah.
But like this dude doesn't have days off. Like Shokin all the way. Like
Always, every day,
constantly.
same thing.
Every day, same thing. Same thing.
And he's doing
like,
the exact same thing every day. There's no variance.
No variance.
Damn.
This dude literally, he put a restaurant. His restaurant is in a really like high-end hotel.
Yeah.
And he only takes reservations. He only takes like 14 a day or something like that. And it's only for people staying at the hotel. Because he was sick of people showing up late to his restaurant.
This is a little wild.
But this is how, like, we wonder why Japanese people are so damn good. Like, so there's, like, the Japanese that builds Hondas, and you're like, okay, Hondas are good cars. They run well and all that, but they're not, like, perfect, right? Mm-hmm. But then there's like the Japanese knife makers, right? And you have like Global and Mac and some of these knife makers that are like, you know, obviously everywhere, right? And they're like stamped metal, right? And then there's the guys that build one knife, right? They're like, I have built this knife and I build it this way. And the same dudes do that with like golf clubs. They have like, there's a company, Mira, right? My dad has their golf clubs. They literally used to make freaking swords, and they're like, golf clubs. Yeah, golf clubs. And they're just like, everything golf clubs. And like the dude, I watched a video, he went and got fitted, and the dude was watching him like hit the golf balls. So, like no computers, no nothing. Like getting fitted from this dude in Japan is different than getting fitted for like
technology. This is
PXG.
A calibrated mind.
He's literally sitting there and he's like watching him hit the club, watching him hit the ball and listening to how it sounds and all that. And that's how he's fitting.
That's wild.
Like these people, like there's so many examples that we love in like pop culture. Like I love it, right? But I couldn't do it, like physically do what they do. Like I'm never going to be able to dedicate my life to knife making. I'm never going to be able to dedicate my life to a martial art, right? Which is why they were fucking good at it, because they literally were like, this is everything. This is
what my life is.
Right? Sushi. What's the other one? I had it in my head. Where the hell did it go? Basically, there's Bonsai. That's another one. Mm-hmm. That's another one that like fascinated me. That
I had a bonsai tree growing up. It was supposed to make me calmer and less angry.
These people literally do it for hundreds of years. Like it's generational. Yeah. Like the same tree continues. That's what's crazy. That's what's crazy. And it's like at some level it's not for profit, which is even crazier. Like
you're not they're like sustaining a living off of that.
That's what it like. I actually think the Japanese culture has like so many solid like human. How am I gonna put this? Like ways to live. Like if you actually wanted to have a stable, fulfilled life, the Japanese culture is like good at it in a lot of ways. Like we always look at like, oh, Tokyo and it's busy. It's like in New York, and you're like, man, that seems crazy and not fulfilling. You know, they tie each other up with ropes and, you know, do all kinds of crazy sexual things to each other for no reason. Lady boys, you know, you got all kinds of like bad facets of the society, right? Well, non-traditional sides of society, but then like you have like the redneck version of the Japanese, and they're so different than the redneck version of Americans.
Oh yeah.
Like redneck Americans, you know what? I'm going to go on the record and say redneck Americans don't really do anything good.
They really don't. Actually,
They're not great at anything. Like, they can try to say farming, but they're not. I've met a lot of rednecks that are not particularly, like, great
they're good
at what they do.
They're good at stanking and having nasty looking teeth. Also, I'm very perplexed by rednecks. I was talking to T. Roy from the Dale yesterday about redneck culture, coincidentally enough. And he was telling me about how he had went to school the other day, and instead of wearing boots covered in cow shit and dirty pants with like duty and fucking grease on them and beech nut dripping out his teeth and fucking greasy hair and pimply oily skin, he's like, I got cleaned up, put on some nice pants, some nice shoes, had a nice shirt, you know, put a little cologne on, wanted to smell nice. He's like, and I did my hair up, I went to school, and he's like, and everyone kept asking him if he was a homosexual. And I was like, so in the redneck culture, being clean, smelling nice, and looking nice equates to being homosexual. Because I went through the same thing. When I was younger, I went out to my mom's store. She owns a redneck convenience store. And I went out there with a nice collared shirt. I just started rocking the comb over, smelling nice, looking nice. And everyone asked me if I was gay now. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm probably fucking more hoes than you, but...
Yeah.
I don't know why you enjoy smelling like body odor.
That's
like as if that's something to be proud of.
Like I said, at some level, you have to be true to who you are and like what you believe in. And if like having good hygiene and doing all that is like what you are and what you believe is good, then do that. But like I said, that's what trips me out is I feel like rednecks do things a lot for the approval of their peers, which is like something I am bad at doing. Like I try, but I deliberately like I try to not do that at the same time. Like I try to not be somebody for like the masses. It's really hard, especially when we're doing this. Like
it's essentially going out to the masses,
right?
And I don't really ever want to tell like someone how they should live their life, because I don't really want you to tell me how I should live mine, for the most part. But I just don't understand the sense of pride you take into being unkept and uncleanly. Like brushing your teeth, failing to brush your teeth, to me is a lack of discipline as much as it is a cleanliness factor. Same thing with like being dirty and not showering. Like how can you be a cow farmer and get covered in cow shit and then come home to your home and sit on your furniture, go lay in your bed, never shower, never even change your cow shitty clothes, and then just like have the audacity to tell me because I smell good that there's something wrong with me.
You know, when I was a kid, I can look back and like I was so gross as a fucking kid. Like I really was. Like I was really bad at like having my fingernails cut. And I was really, really bad at like I didn't brush my teeth every day, which I look back and I'm like, God, you fucking disgusting piece of shit. Yeah. And as soon as girls started making fun of me, that's when I changed everything. Like,
oh yeah. Once
puberty
hits and then
this
genetic reproduction urges come.
I had like the biggest crush on this girl, and she like sneak dissed me, and that's when I like changed shit. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I think it was like 7th grade. She said something to her friend. She's like, oh, like, look how good he looks or whatever. She goes, his nails are so clean. And like my nails were fucking trashed.
You're just like,
I was like, oh,
felt that
bitch.
one.
Yep.
Fucking felt that one, you fucking.
And then like, that's when I started doing it. Like my dad calling me a girl for having long nails never like messed with me. But the minute a girl was like, look how nasty his shit is.
What's up with the long nails, guy? What's up with the long nails?
What do you mean?
Like, how long are we talking here?
No, not that. Just unkept, man. Like,
Oh, okay.
as a kid, you get dirt underneath them and shit. Like,
I was picturing you out here with like all Snoop Dogg crack pinkies.
no, I mean, they'd get too long for sure. And then I have like long, like my nail goes really far up my finger anyway. So it kind of looks really long no matter what I do.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. That raises the question: is like a little bit of like social ridicule. Is it so bad?
I don't have a problem with fat shaming and shit like that. Like, I have a problem with fat shaming if someone has like cancer or like a thyroid problem or something like that. Like, I have a problem with fat shaming and like making fun of people's looks if they can't change it. There's a difference between being like, look how fucking short his legs are. You know what I mean? You're like, fuck, I can't make my legs grow any longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless they're your friends, then do that to them all the time. Like,
I think
if they're your friends, make fun of them for like the things they're most self-conscious about, because I actually think it helps you be more confident. Like, if your friends are making fun of you and you laugh and you roast each other, then cool.
You got to learn how to deal with your insecurities, and how you ever going to, you're not going to learn how to deal with your insecurities by sheltering them and fucking keeping them hidden and, and getting all upset and hurt every time somebody says something. It's like, if you're short, you're short. Embrace it. If you're 5'4", you're 5'4". You ain't never getting taller. So go out there, get on shortkingsrs.com or whatever it is, and find you a little 5'1" lady. Call it a day. Or find you a 6 foot tall lady that wants a little short king. Live your life.
Like, I've been upset forever about being skinny. Like, I hate being skinny. But at the same time, like, as a friend, you never let me be like that upset about being skinny.
Yeah, I mean,
like, as a friend, you're like, oh, you're skinny. Like, yeah, dog, you're fucking skinny.
You're skinny.
What are you going to do about it? Like, you can still know how to fight.
Still fight. Still do jiu-jitsu.
Still play hard. You can still do all these things. Or if you really want, you can really, like, push to gain weight. But at least, like, it was funny because you kind of learned that, like, I still can't do it. Like, you saw me put down weight gainers and then just, like, eat myself sick.
That was a crazy handful of months there where we were pumping fucking Carl's Jr. and weight gainer shakes down your throat just to get you to gain like, what, 10, 15 pounds?
Yep.
I was like, oh, yeah, that really is not a sustainable lifestyle.
No. So, like, as a close friend, you also realized that I wasn't just not eating enough cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But at that point in time, you just got, you're a lean dude. Embrace it.
Yeah. And then, like, I've been self-conscious about being stupid as well. I hate being called stupid. So, but you also were like, no, man, like, you're smart. Just, like, let people think you're dumb. That's fine.
That's my favorite thing in the world. I'm giving out my secrets right now. I like people thinking I'm dumb because it makes it easier for me to live life.
It's true.
People don't expect a lot from me. They don't ask me for much. And then it's fun too, like, for the people with like malicious intent. They think they'll get one over on you easier because you're dumb. And it's like, well, you just made it easier for me to pick you out of the crowd that you're trying to get something over on me.
I definitely think you're smarter than me. And, like, that's messed with me. Like, for sure.
I don't know if I agree with that.
It has messed with me. Like,
I don't speak very eloquently, which is like the first sign for people to be like, oh, he's dumb because he doesn't use the right words all the time in context, or he doesn't say words right a lot. But it's like, this is a good segue into my next question to you, which was, how do you really define intelligence amongst the common folk?
It depends on, like, what I am a proponent, like, in cordoning off, like, the psychological functions of what you do.
Okay.
Like, if you're emotional, like, I actually think that your body, like, you're more prone to producing hormones and, like, actually having chemicals go throughout your body. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, my wife is so emotional, like, she should just get over it. It's like, no, she's a female. Like, she actually is emotional, right?
Yeah.
She's chemically emotional. It's chemistry, right? So like I'm a big fan of intelligence being simply like cognitive intelligence. Like I'll talk about emotional intelligence, but what I'm talking about is like your awareness of your place in life and how you communicate with people and like where you're at. But I think it can, if it can be practiced, then it's not an intangible. And I think intelligence is intangible. Like I think you're born with your capacity. That's why I think IQ is still relevant. Like people are really out here trying to say that IQ isn't relevant, and I'm like, no, it's still there.
Interesting.
Like there's still people that are 8th graders that, have the capacity to work for NASA, right? There are geniuses out there, right? They're not emotionally intelligent whatsoever, but they also don't have fucking time to worry about what you think of them.
Mm.
They're doing astrophysics. Let them be.
They're not concerned with your little peasant opinions.
Like that's what I'm saying.
Busy.
Like a piano savant. It's like you're really gonna like knock like Beethoven. Like you really think Beethoven, like, oh, he's fucking sucks. He has no friends though. Like, yeah, but he's like one of the best piano players fucking ever. So, like, yeah, he probably doesn't have a whole lot of time to practice friendship.
Yeah,
like,
he's not concerned with that.
Most of us, to be honest, are normal intelligence. Like, for instance, I think you and I are above average intelligence, but I think I would put you a little bit above me as far as like your ability to you sift through information better than I do. I think you're better at like managing the information than I am. Like my boss called me a space cadet a few weeks ago, and I'm like, yeah, that's because I'm like all over the place. I have a lot of shit going on in my head. Like I think about a lot of things. Like I can talk about something and go somewhere else. Really easy. I can go from one subject to another and like piece them together, which is why I think people think I'm funny. Right? Because I can be like, oh, fucking green notebook, like your fucking greenhorn ass just got off the boat, piece of shit. Right?
Yeah.
I can just do that at random because my brain is like, green. How many things do you know about green? Irish. Fucking, that's the same color as fucking plants. Oh, it's another word for marijuana. Right? Like, I can do that really, really easily, but you're better at like being, this book has all my shit in here. I've written, 125 pages on this one subject. You're more inclined to like focus,
I'm very
which
structured.
is why I think you're better at like learning technique than I am. Like when we talk about like where we're at in jiu-jitsu, like I think we both have the capacity to learn jiu-jitsu, but you and I are not going to learn it the same way.
No, what I do isn't going to work for you and vice versa.
Right. Like you can't just sit there and like roll and get like, if I get armbarred every single day for 6 months and I just let people get me in armbar positions every single day for 6 months, like I'll go somewhere else with those positions. But you will like figure out how to not get armbarred.
Yeah.
That's like it's weird that we're different in that way, but I would say that I think cognitively your intelligence is probably at least a smidge higher than mine.
I appreciate you. I don't know if I agree, but I appreciate you.
Because like my dad, for instance, like my brother and sister think my dad is like insanely smart.
Well, your dad is a very intelligent man.
He knows a lot of shit, but he's also one of the most disciplined individuals I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, facts.
And he's also really good at turning off the outside world while doing all these things. And he's really good at making like an excuse for it, which is the other side of it. Like, I'm not talking shit about you, Pops. If you listen to this, I'm sorry. Like, there has been times in his life in which he's turned off his connection with the people around him for the sake of getting really good at something.
Mm-hmm.
He can do that. He's very like, I can isolate myself and learn how to accomplish this task, which is something that a lot of you folks, to include myself, can't really do. Right? And there's a reason why he was able to go to Stanford and be a doctor, is because he was able to be like, birthdays and stuff like that, like they matter. Like I need to, make sure my kids have a little piece of happiness, but I'm also not going to be able to participate. Like I'm not going to be able to go and watch my son do this and that. I'm not going to be able to call him all the time. I'm not going to be able to talk to him throughout life as much as they would probably enjoy, right? I'm going to have to disconnect. I'm going to have to be detached in order to attain this. I have to be detached, and he can do that. Most of y'all fucking can't do that.
I can't do that.
He's not as smart. Or like, I wouldn't say that he's like, a 140 IQ or anything like that, because he's been around those people, and he's said that like at Stanford, there's people out there that they don't have to try as hard as he does, which I think alludes to intelligence. Is that like he's not cognitively as intelligent, but he can sit there and just laser focus, which is something a lot of people can't do.
Yeah.
So it's a quantifying intelligence, I think, is all about problem solving and like acquiring information and then applying it somewhere else. And I think some of us are better at other facets than others.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Like I've met a lot of fucking crackheads that know a lot of shit, but they're also
they
crackheads.
Can't overcome their vices.
Right. Just like I've met autistic people. Like, like kind of like the Rain Man story. Like Rain Man was really good at remembering shit. He had a photographic memory.
VER and Vern.
Had all that going for him. You could probably consider him incredibly intelligent, but you couldn't quantify it necessarily by traditional means because he doesn't have the ability to focus on it.
Outside them standard measurements we use.
Yeah. So
that's fair.
It's really interesting. That's a good question. I don't know about you though. Like, where do you stand?
I don't know. I bring this up because the other day I was talking to somebody, once again out in the country. The conversation was being had was about it was kids in school, high school, elementary school, and they were talking about jumping grades and things like that in like this gifted learning program. And I was sitting there, I was having the conversation. I wasn't saying too much. I'm just, casual part. And then my mom jumped in at one point in time because the person was kind of insinuating, I think, that I couldn't relate, you know what I mean, to like feeling out of place. Because they're basically talking about like feeling out of place in their grade and like bored and untested. And then I don't know if my mom took offense or what, but she said, in the third grade, they tried to put him in the sixth grade, right? Because they put him in this like gifted program and all this other stuff. And that lady was like, what? And I just kind of looked at her and I was like, sometimes you can't always judge books by their cover, and like smiled at her. And that's not like a flex or a thing like that, but it's just, it brought the question to my mind is like, we have these like socially accepted standards of like what's intelligent. Do you dress well? Do you speak well? Are you eloquent? You know what I mean? And in my mind, it's like, does that really always mean that you're intelligent, or does that mean you just are proposing this idea of this aesthetic that you're intelligent? Almost like, you know what I mean?
Yep. I hear you. I wasn't ever put into those classes. Like, I got tested for them and all that. I didn't get put in. I wasn't gifted.
And I mean, I come from a small area, so to say that I got put into a gifted program out there doesn't fucking hold a lot of water in my mind or clout in my mind. And I definitely didn't take them fucking serious. But it more or less like added that thought in my head. I was like, how do I look at someone and determine if I think they're intelligent? And I, like you said, because I think you just asked me that, my mind is the way that they talk about things and solve problems, I think is like critical thinking, I think is where I put a lot of like my basis of your intelligence is like, how well can you critically think about something? How well can you solve problems?
But some people can't think critically really at all, but they're really good at being hyper focused and getting down to really small detail as well. Like, there's the people out there that are like, yeah, you breathe in air, and if you don't breathe in air, then you die, right? And somebody at one time, somebody observed that, right? Somebody observed that, and then somebody took that information and said, well, then I'm going to take that and choke people. I'm going to learn how to strangle people as a defense mechanism, as opposed to just savagely beating people with sticks, right? It takes an intelligent person to go from you know, I I have 2 apples here, and I have 2 apples here, then I have 4 apples. Like, at one time, that wasn't necessarily easy for the human race to do, right? So, like, I look at that as a form of intelligence, as well as, like, the guy who's like, apples are made up of carbon and water and stuff like that. Like, they don't really understand. They're not a dietitian, right? But they understand what apples are, which I think is less critical thinking and more attention to detail.
Yeah, but I think that plays into my other end of my spectrum, is like being like rational, logical, and making good decisions. Because I feel like you can be as intelligent as you want to be if you don't look at things logically or rationally, and you take that and make poor decisions, like poor decision making skills. I would say that's a dumb individual there too. Like, I don't make the greatest choices, and a lot of times I'm like, damn, bro, Taylor, you are dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
I think
that's my 2-factor process, is critical thinking and decision making.
What I think is crazy is these, top of the bell curve people that are walking around with their master's degrees acting like they're the smartest shit on the planet. Those are the ones that really get me. The people that are average, right? Because let's be honest here, you can be average. Average, I've told this, my dad was like, I think a lot of people are dumb. I'm like, yeah, like, it depends on what you consider a lot, right?
Yeah.
But most of us are average. And average, by the way, is fucking really smart. It's still average.
Yeah,
right?
Still very
and
intelligent.
it cracks me up because people are like, I'm a PA, right? It's not easy to become a physician's assistant, right? You actually have to go through quite a bit of school, and you actually have to be an intelligent person, but you can be of average intelligence and attain that.
Yeah, I feel like
how many radiology people do you know? Like,
I know
how many
actually.
Yeah, and how many of those people are actually smart?
I mean, they're smart, but I wouldn't say they're like to the point that I'm like in awe of how smart
But they'll
they
flex
are.
like that.
Oh yeah, they flex their credentials and their accolades.
Right, and those are the people that make me laugh the most.
What to me is like, I don't know about everyone out there, but I look at like degrees, higher learning as not so much. That isn't so much your level of intelligence, though that is a factor. But to me, that's more of like your discipline. You're showing an institution that you can show up and do what you're told in the manner in which you're told to do it. As someone who's just now starting to go to college for the first time in my life, I'm realizing that the work is not hard. Just adhering to the schedule is the difficulty.
Right.
Doing how and what when.
Right. Well, and like, if you're driven, you can do quite a bit of things. But where I was going with that is that we focus on our credentials, and that's what knowledge we've attained, right?
And it's like kind of how we measure it as like a society, I guess.
I tell people this. A really good example is multiplication, right?
Mm-hmm.
At what age do we typically learn multiplication? Like 3rd grade, 2nd grade, maybe?
I think like somewhere around 3rd grade sounds about right.
I think 3rd grade. You learn that like 3 times 3 equals 9, right? You learn how that works. That was at one time the peak of mathematical intelligence. The peak. And the people that actually figured out multiplication were really, really fucking smart compared to everybody else. And then they built, I believe it was Mesopotamia, which is considered the pioneer in multiplication.
Yeah.
If you guys know anything about Mesopotamia, they built like pretty impressive structures.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And most of y'all can't be architects, right? Because architecture is really, really complicated. Architecture, you actually have to be smart to be an architect.
It is not easy to be an architect.
But average intelligence can get you there. Average intelligence can get you to be an architect. It's not really common that architects are of average intelligence, but it can be done.
I feel like that's where my two-factor process comes in. You can be average intelligence and have great decision-making skills, deciding to do your work on time, deciding to enroll on time, deciding to buckle down and study, deciding to take 2 hours aside to, work, polish up. You can overcome average intelligence with above average decision-making.
Right, like how many people do you know that can recite the Pythagorean theorem and know what it's used for?
Not that many.
Not that many? See, I feel like a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people know a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
I know a lot of people know a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but I know those people probably don't know what it's used for.
Okay.
They'll be like, "Oh, I remember that in school," and then they'll trail off. But I don't think they can actually tell you what it's used for at this point.
How about please excuse my dear Aunt Sally?
PEMDAS. Please excuse my dope ass swag.
How many people know that? And how many people still know how to use it?
Yeah, that one's higher. I know, most people probably, other than the rednecks.
How many people don't understand the order of operations? How many people don't understand why it has to be done in that way?
There's the kicker.
And how many people don't know that addition and subtraction can be done, there should be done essentially left to right most of the time. Whatever way you want to fucking do it, they're the same thing. Like, if you tell a dumbass that knows, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, and you're like, addition and subtraction are the same thing. No, they're not. They're different. They're the same thing.
Those are my favorite, meme, troll posts on Facebook, because they're like, what's the answer? And I love reading those comments.
Love it. It cracks me up, though, how many people are literally like, you have to, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, right? They have to do it in that order. And I'm like, that's where you fuck yourself.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
They're the same thing. And they're like, well, you have to add before you subtract. I'm like, well, if you just add twice then? No subtraction. Just start adding negatives. No, you can't do that. Because you don't actually understand it. And that's the thing that I was trying to say is, like, Pythagoras, right, was a fucking smart dude. You know the Pythagorean theorem. That doesn't make you as smart as Pythagoras.
Because he came up with that shit. You just memorized it.
With zero information. He had all his foundational information, right? All this math that he learned that was taught to him, right? He had to know fucking exponents. He had to know square roots. He had to know addition. He had to know, all of his order of operation. He had to know a lot of shit. And then was like, how do I figure out the fucking sides of a triangle?
How do I figure out how long that side of that triangle is?
And then he was like, this is how you fucking do it. He deduced all of it from fucking analyzing triangles. That's the work that you haven't done. Miss, I have a master's degree in whatever the fuck you have it in. Yeah. You didn't put in that work. And you're probably not pioneering. That's the thing. It was like the actual smart people are inventive. And they pioneer. They come up with new shit. And that takes a heightened level. That is not easy to do. That is incredibly difficult. You could what does Joe Rogan say? You could put me on a fucking island for 1,000 years and I won't know how to make a camera.
Yeah. Well, he says you can give me a cell phone and you can put us all on an island with cell phones and you can ruin the infrastructure and all that. And he's like, we're all just going to sit here and beat these fucking phones off of rocks and we ain't going to never make them fucking work. He's like, holds it up. He says, y'all know how this shit works? He's like, I know how to use it, but I don't know how to make one of these. Like, if you take this away, how long until I present you one of those?
He said, if I left you alone in the woods with a hatchet, how long until you can send me an email?
Yeah, it's a great line.
So true. Like, we continue to build in society, but we don't put in the work. And that's the truth. And you shouldn't. Like, smart people do that shit. You don't do that shit. About probably 85% of you probably can't do that shit. To include myself.
Facts.
Like, I literally like look at what John Danaher's doing with jiu-jitsu, and I'm like, yeah, he's making jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Or Eddie
He's
Bravo.
actually making jiu-jitsu.
Eddie Bravo sat down and said, I'm going to figure out unconventional ways to solve these jiu-jitsu problems.
Yep. It's difficult. It's difficult, especially since we're so damn good at a lot of shit.
Facts. And that, sir, I think is a good place to wrap this up.
Oh, we're going to be done?
It's been a couple hours.
It's 11 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock. Let's be done. Left hooks are free. Right hooks are always half off. Fuck you. You're dumb. 85. 15% of you have an IQ less than 85. Take that to heart. That may be you. You may not be that smart.
If you think
Sorry.
I'm dumb, thank you for that, because I am dumb.
Well,
my actions speak louder than my words.
Enjoy your degrees. I don't think they make you smart.
You have all the degrees in the world, but still can't get this dick, ho. I'm out.
Ugh.